This man never imagined that after being reincarnated into another world, the gods would give him all the skills that no one else wanted. Haruka thought for sure that he wouldn't survive in this world. However, these skills turned out to be incredibly powerful. While his classmates were still worrying about their living arrangements, Haruka had already used his skills to build a simple, modern house. He had intended to live a quiet, simple life, but he didn't expect that a commotion outside his house would disrupt his peace. He was kept awake by the sounds of fighting, so he went outside to check. To his surprise, it was his classmates, fighting a group of goblins. Haruka was about to step in and help, but after using his appraisal skill, he realized that the four of them were all god level and had professions that were 13 levels higher than his own. Haruka decided to go back to bed, but then his sense of breath detection triggered. Two goblins were trying to ambush his classmates. Haruka had no choice but to intervene. Using the magic binding skill he had learned, Haruka killed the two goblins with a simple wooden stick. By the time he finished, his four classmates had already defeated the others. They thanked Haruka for his help, and Haruka invited them to his house. They were all shocked by the luxurious interior of his home. They had been in this world for 7 days, and most of them had been living in groups of 3, each sharing a tent. Haruka's spacious living situation made them envious. Taking the opportunity, Haruka asked about the situation of the others. Nerd hesitated before speaking up. It turned out that they had been driven away by their class and were now on the run. When they first arrived in this world, everyone was shocked and confused, not knowing what had happened. But these 4 students already had much more knowledge about the world. They were the first to learn how to use skills. So, when other classmates were frightened by goblins, these 4 stepped up and easily wiped out the goblins. Under the guidance of the class leader, everyone set up tents by the river. It was supposed to be a group task, but some girls didn't want to help, and some boys were also unwilling to do any work. They had no interest in such a boring task, so the task of gathering firewood and setting up the tents fell entirely to the 4 of them and the class leader. Even the responsibility of protecting their camp was given to them. Although they felt tired, it was worth it because they could level up. Nerd noticed that a group of boys had bad intentions. They could use charm and puppet skills to manipulate others, and they wanted to level up quickly to prepare for something. That night, the boys began their plan. They intended to hunt goblins to level up their charm skills. To make the girls in the class like them, they wanted to use these skills on them. The 4 of them overheard the plan and reported it to the class leader. In response, the class leader began leveling up too. She learned a sealing skill to prevent the charm and puppet skills from being used. She deliberately went alone to confront the boys, and the 4 of them ambushed them. This way, they could seal away the dangerous skills. Soon, everyone knew what had happened. The troublemakers were expelled from the class, but they didn't stop there. They kept hunting monsters to level up, and quickly returned to destroy the class's base. The students who hadn't leveled up had no power to resist. After the attack, they even blamed the 4 for causing the incident. They said if it weren't for the conflict with the bad students, they wouldn't have faced such problems. The rest of the class agreed and decided that the 4 should pay the price. The class leader tried to convince everyone not to do this, but the disappointed 4 chose to leave. Haruka felt angry when he heard this. He thought, since they came to him for help, he would treat them to a meal. The next day, the 4 decided to follow the river to the city and become adventurers. They invited Haruka to join them, as before arriving in this world, Haruka had been just as unpopular as they were. But Haruka declined, saying that he preferred to develop on his own. After saying goodbye to the 4, Haruka continued to stay in the forest. Even though he was only level 3, he was confident that he could easily defeat even a werewolf. One day, Haruka arrived at the class's old base, but it had been completely burned down. There was no one left. Haruka used his enemy detection skill to follow the nearby footprints,